Hi, I'm Rick Simon, a project manager at the Defense Innovation Unit in Mountain View, California. Joining me today is Tony Carnavale, a customer engineer at Google. Today, we'll discuss an ongoing project at DIU whose aim is to deliver secure access and control to cloud services directly over the internet. To many of you, that might sound pretty simple, but at the Department of Defense, we have unique security and control requirements that make it a real challenge. First, I'll provide a quick overview of DIU and what motivated us to launch the Secure Cloud Management project. I'll follow that with an overview of the project, including its goals and our current status. Then I'll hand it off to Tony to walk through Google's Anthos technology and how it will be applied to the SCM project. DIU was stood up by then Secretary of Defense Ash Carter in 2015. It's based on the idea that solutions to many national security problems can be addressed quickly and at a lower cost using commercial off-the-shelf technology. Our focus at DIU is on dual-use technology that has both commercial and military applications. Those areas include autonomy, artificial intelligence, cyber, human systems, space, and energy and materials. Many of our projects are based on technology from non-traditional high-tech developers, oftentimes startups. Our customers are usually DoD agencies, service branches, joint agencies, R&D arms, and the like, who have asked DIU to help solve a problem that they have using our extensive knowledge and connections within the high-tech community. The SCM project is a little bit different in that DIU is actually our own customer. Let me explain. To engage with non-traditional high-tech developers, DIU needs to meet them where they are, primarily in Silicon Valley, in a very collaborative environment, and conversing with people who have deep technology backgrounds. A key method of collaboration in the high-tech community is through teleconferencing and secure document sharing. Those seemingly simple capabilities are actually quite complex in the current DoD network. Further, high network latency makes it quite difficult to do such things as teleconferencing. So we launched the SCM project to address our own need to efficiently collaborate with our partners in the high-tech community. We posted an RFP for an off-the-shelf multi-cloud security gateway can secure and control access to apps in the cloud using zero trust principles. We wanted it to support secure cloud access through both government furnished equipment and bring your own devices from anywhere. We wanted it to have minimal latency to support teleconferencing and voice over IP. And finally, it needed to seamlessly integrate with multiple cloud services. We posted an RFP in November 2019 and received several dozen responses. From those, we awarded 3 prototype contracts in May to vendors who proposed diverse solutions to our challenges. We worked over the summer to integrate those solutions into our environment at DIU. We then went live with the prototypes in October and November and have just now begun the solution assessment phase of the project. Because the prototypes were awarded using a relatively unique mechanism called an other transactions contract, successful prototypes have the potential to be awarded production contracts, not only at DIU, but also at any agencies within the Department of Defense without having to recompete. I'll now turn it over to Tony to explain Google's Anthos technology and how it may be able to deliver the benefits we're looking for at DIU. Tony, over to you.
Thank you very much, Rick. Hi, folks. Tony Carnavale here from Google Cloud. So today I want to take you through a bit of a journey of where we are today and where we'd like to take the Department of Defense and other customers over into the future and tomorrow. We'll start with understanding, again, our challenges today. So today, DoD customers, on the left side of our diagram here, are going to traverse what's called a boundary cap. This is a cloud access point that does various features and integrations, including SSL break and inspect, advanced logging, and threat detection services at a network layer. And this protects Department of Defense users when accessing cloud services, both IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS applications at the IL4 level, that's impact level 4, for securing FOUO type information. This current solution has its difficulties with things like video conferencing or sensitive latency applications, application sensitive latencies. And the DoD is pursuing multiple avenues to improve this. DIU work with Google is just one of those avenues. So to address these challenges, Google has designed a fully software-based cloud access point to secure access both remote and from DoD networks for IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS software. This solution is centered around Google's Anthos technology, which is a multi-cloud platform to deploy workloads seamlessly across all clouds. And we also include in our overall technology package Netskope's Cloud Access Security Broker software for securing SaaS applications. So what is Anthos? Anthos is a managed application platform that is going to allow our customers to deploy and modernize workloads, ensure consistency across your organization and across your multi-cloud environments. And we abstract this away from some of the users and give them the ability to use application programming interfaces and command line interface tools that are consistent across all those environments. So breaking down the core Anthos components, we're going to start with cluster management, which is right in the center of your diagram. Cluster management is a reliable and efficient way to run your container-based workloads. Just above, service management is a service mesh that is managed that's going to secure communications between our virtual machine hosts and our container-based workloads, while also giving you insight into your network topology across multiple cloud environments. On top, serverless and application development. This layer comprises a large offering of both Google Marketplace and partner solutions, allowing you to run your workloads in a very scalable fashion and utilize third-party software included inside of the Anthos cluster. On your left and right, we have policy management and operations management. Policy management, think security controls and configurations. This allows us to codify in source code how we want to secure and manage our remote clusters across multiple cloud environments. And we put that under source control to maintain some governance and consistency over those configurations, and then apply them into our clusters. On the right-hand side, operations management, think logging and auditing. So now we overlay specifically what these technologies are as opposed to the broader concepts. So again, down at the bottom here where we had cluster management, we have Anthos GKE. For those familiar, this is Google Kubernetes Engine, which is our managed wrapper around Kubernetes, which Google open sourced. This allows our customers to use a managed platform and service to run their containerized workloads in a very user-friendly manner. Just above, we have Anthos Service Mesh. This is a wrapper around the open source Istio, again, increasing our insights into network topologies and securing container to container and container to virtual machine comms. And then Cloud Run at the top, for those familiar with Knative. This is how we run serverless workloads, think Cloud Functions, to enable our customers to run those type of workloads all within your Anthos cluster. And then on the left and right, where we had policy management and monitoring, we have cloud logging and cloud monitoring, used to be called Stackdriver at Google. And this is going to allow us to audit actions taken on any of our remote clusters and in the security control plane within GCP. And then we have Anthos Config Management, again, codifying our security posture and rules. And as you can see down below, we support many different deployment environments. We can bring your own cluster and register that with the Anthos control plane. We support deployments in Azure, AWS, GCP, and vSphere from VMware, as well as coming in the future bare metal as well. So where we want to go tomorrow, instead of the several boundary caps, we'd like to move towards a software-defined cap and deploy them out into each of the major cloud providers that you're seeing here. This reduces not only the number of hops, but the shared bandwidth limitations, and really enables folks to directly access those services, both remote and off the DoD networks to access those applications. If we double click a bit one level down, we'll go into a little bit more detail here. So what you're seeing here is cloud application A through E. They are deployed into various cloud providers, GCP, AWS, and Microsoft's Azure. On the left-hand side, we have our users accessing from, again, DoD networks, or even remotely, in the times we live in today, accessing their secure applications through our CAP containers. And what this allows us to do is give us scalability to make this CAP container fit the needs of the government program or the customer writ large and their enterprise. We can scale this up to support several 100,000 users or down to a very small program of 10 users and scale the cluster fluently, again, while keeping the same application programming interfaces and the command line interface tools for the developers and security folks, all consistent across the environment. And what you get by using Anthos in all these different environments is the ability to have a centralized control plane. So all the metrics and logs coming off these systems are sent back to Google Cloud into our Anthos control plane. And this allows governing agencies to really use these indicators for notifications and response to the overall DoD's posture in accessing those cloud-based applications. And finally, to close out, our key takeaways of the overall solution for secure cloud management. First, portable. Second, control. Third, scalability. On portability, again, we have the ability to run this workload or workloads in any major cloud provider, AWS, Azure, GCP, as well as bare metal, VMware's vSphere, and bring your own cluster as well to register with Anthos. From the control perspective, we have granular application and service level control for all IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS applications, including authentication and authorization to your cloud-based services. And scalability, with our approach to being fully software and abstracting away the hardware requirements underneath the hood of Google's Anthos, we have essentially infinite scalability to go up or down depending on your mission and customer needs. Rick and I would have a special thank you for all you folks who were able to join us today. Thank you for hanging out, and we hope you learned something about secure cloud management and Google Cloud. Thank you. Hello, folks. Tony Carnavale here from Google Cloud. I am joined by Rick Simon for our live Q&A session, following and learning about DIU Secure Cloud Management Project and the use of Google technology. So, Rick, we have a couple questions in the queue from folks, and for our audience, as a reminder, please continue to submit your questions just below the video. If we don't get to them, we will surely get to them after the fact and answer all of your questions. So thank you for posting them. And Rick, our first question here, what is your solution assessment approach for DIU?
Yeah, so before I start, I'd like to give a quick disclaimer. I frequently say we and our when referring to DIU. And while I'm the project manager for this Secure Cloud Management project, and I'm intimately involved with it, I'm acting as a contractor to DIU. I'm not a government employee. All right, so to the question,
Great.
What's the solution assessment approach? Let me backtrack a little bit. I think I mentioned earlier that the project started in May. We worked with the vendors to implement their solutions through the summer months and to the beginning of the fall. And then we introduced it to DIU's own employees over the month of September and October. So approximately 1/3 of DIU's users are using each of the prototypes, including our reservists, for this project. We're going to move to the assessment phase, which is the real question, starting in January. We developed a bunch of criteria jointly with DISA. It's a combination of requirements that come from a variety of sources. Some of you may be familiar with the Secure Cloud Computing Architectural Functional Requirements document, commonly known as the SCCA. It also includes requirements from the SRG and various STIGs and requirements that have come to us through a couple of zero trust groups. So we'll begin assessment in January. Those assessments will proceed through the middle or late part of May, and then we'll have results that will be made available across DoD.
Awesome. Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Our next question from the audience is, what are some of your lessons learned so far in running the Secure Cloud Management project?
Yeah, there are quite a few things. As I mentioned earlier, we started the project trying to solve our own problem at DIU, but it turns out other agencies within DoD have similar problems, and they've in fact been amplified quite a bit by the pandemic. So it is a broad issue that we're trying to tackle within DoD. We also learned that this is really out of the ordinary. We're doing something a little bit different. There's no recipe for doing this. We're learning as we're going along. It's been a good learning effort. That's why they call them prototypes. The third thing that we discovered is that all of the prototype vendor solutions are really very much zero trust oriented. So that's the general direction that the DoD is going, and these prototype vendors have robust zero trust oriented capabilities. And then probably the biggest aha is that zero trust really depends on having sound policies, and policy development and technical implementation is really hard. It's really time consuming, and it's iterative. We've been, since we've rolled these out within the DIU community, every day we are making adjustments to policies, and I'm sure it'll go on at least until the point where we begin our assessment. But it's never underestimate the work involved in developing sound zero trust policies.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to see our Department of Defense adopting some of the commercial best practices around zero trust. As a follow-up to that, why do you think zero trust has gotten even more attention, especially in 2020, in regards to how users interact with these software and products in the cloud?
Well, I think that as the pandemic has forced people to work from home, depending upon network architectures and methods of security and control that was developed in a time when most people worked in an office, it doesn't apply particularly well. And zero trust is a way to provide that flexibility that an awful lot of people are looking for. I probably certainly through the end of the pandemic, but probably beyond that.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Our next question is in regards to the ownership of the cloud access points. So the question is, will DISA own the software cloud access points for approvals and connections?
Well, if this is a successful prototype and we select the Google Netscope solution, we would be a licensee of that at DIU. Where it goes beyond that is subject to the efforts of the vendors. We will need to select a solution at DIU, but the other agencies within DoD can select whatever solution they would like, and they'll license it.
Mm-hmm. And I do see a bit of a difference in the traditional cloud access points that are today used in the Department of Defense in regards to actual physical cables being deployed versus what we're taking here on SCM is a different approach of a fully software-based stack. So that actual physical connection won't be there in this case to actually manage in support of the remote users, especially during the pandemic that you mentioned.
Right.
Great. Our next question, how does this fit within the FedRAMP framework for certification?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mentioned during the formal part of the presentation that we use SaaS services, and those SaaS services will either are or will need to be IL impact level 4 or impact level 5 authorized. Mm-hmm. FedRAMP is broader than the DoD. I think everything we're using now is at the FedRAMP moderate level, but we are sponsoring some of the technology to be IL4 and or IL5 authorized, which is equivalent to FedRAMP. Well, it's not equivalent. It's a superset of FedRAMP High. So we are sponsoring some of the vendors in that regard.
Great. So while there is some overlap in those policies, it seems like this overall solution may be generally applicable across not only just Department of Defense, but other agencies who may follow the FedRAMP guidelines as opposed to DoD impact levels.
Yes, correct.
Great.
Yeah, our intent is to be able to, for all of the parts and pieces of the solution to be at least IL4 authorized when a success letter is issued, or shortly after that.
So our next question, this is an interesting one. Could you explain why multi-cloud is a requirement for DIU?
Oh, well, because we use multiple clouds. It's a pretty simple answer there. We have multiple SaaS applications, and they run on different cloud platforms. And that's a critical part of what we're doing, is trying to prove out that these solutions can support multiple clouds, multiple SaaS apps, because it's the practical reality of what people within the Department of Defense are doing.
Great. Our next question is a bit of a longer one. With Anthos as a potential cloud access point solution, will Anthos be a requirement for use inside each cloud provider, or does it provide a successful abstraction for integrating multiple different vendors using unique products into a cloud-based mesh?
I think that one's for you.
I think thanks you. I will take a stab at that. So our overall architecture approach, yes, is that each one of these cloud access points, while based in Google's Anthos technology, which is going to give us like that single developer control plane and similar APIs across different cloud providers, that abstraction absolutely is there. And through the deployment methodologies that we've devised as part of the Secure Cloud Management contract, we have the ability to deploy this stack in any of the major CSPs, also including, as you heard in the presentation, bare metal and VMware vSphere. So the ability to move this cluster that is based in the same technology stack has applicability really anywhere that you're trying to deploy the applications and secure them. Okay, I think this one's for you here. Is DIU in the test step validation now? When will DIU be ready to be implemented for real use? Which I think you already are actually really using it, so I'm curious.
Yeah, so we remember these are prototypes right now. So they are not we do not have production licenses for any of these prototypes. They have a period of performance that extends through next May. And at that point, if we move along crisply and are able to accomplish what we want to accomplish, we'll have to make a decision at that point for DIU, which prototype that we want to use on a permanent basis at a production level at DIU. For those prototypes that are successful, they receive a success letter, and they can then solicit work throughout the Department of Defense beyond that.
Great. That's a great transition to our last question for today's live Q&A session. How does an OT contract work?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these prototypes are all operating under an OT agreement, and the OT agreement is it's a really fast, flexible method to test innovative solutions, and those that are successful receive a success letter that allows them to they need not go through FAR-based competition to win a production contract. At DIU, our RFPs are actually quite short. They're maybe 2 to 4 pages in length. Our philosophy is to let technologists do what they do best, which is to create solutions to problems. When we solicit for solutions to problems, the vendors who are successful in convincing us that they may be able to address it are given one of these OT contracts. And because they've been competitively bid or have been competed, it allows them to not need to go through a FAR-based competition for production.
Great. That sounds like a very unique way to really accelerate the adoption of prototype technology into production contracts, not only just DIU, but DoD-wide.
Yeah.
Well, great. I would love to thank everyone for joining today to our live Q&A session, and also thank Rick from the Defense Innovation Unit for hanging with us today. We will get all your questions answered, so keep submitting them. And thank you very much for your time. Stay tuned for many more exciting sessions as part of our Cloud Summit. Thank you very much for your time.
All right. Stay safe, everyone.